first ever AMA Ara. I'm scrappy. Snogging. Also made me cry. This is a great idea. I'm like, oh, the world I want to live in. It's how internet magic happens. First ever Ask Me Anything Amara edition here on Amara in Seattle. Hey Rockstars, it's Amara and I am back to answer your questions. I asked you guys across all my social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page, what is it that you wanted to ask me questions about? And do I have a series of questions that we're gonna cover today? Questions on travel, questions on YouTube, questions on VidCon, and some other stuff. So let's get right to it. I organized the questions we're gonna tackle into different groups. The first group is on travel. This one's from Shelby via Instagram. What has been your favorite place to travel? And do you have any upcoming trips? I have some upcoming trips. We'll get to that at the end, Shelby, just so spoilers there. But I don't really have a favorite place to travel, as I tend to find travel is really about experiences and meeting people. However, it is cherry blossom season, and whenever this time of the year happens for me, I find myself really wanting to go to Japan. I like all kinds of travel, so from pop-up road trips to a place I've never been before. I don't think you guys will ever meet someone who is so excited to have a long layover. In fact, I think there's a video all about that too that we'll link up here. And there are lots of places I haven't gone yet, so the real truth is my favorite place to travel is probably a place I haven't been yet, an experience that's still going to happen. Shelbris via Instagram wanted to know, want to say you're lovely, please. Know any British slang? Ooh, I do know some British slang, and it's hard for me even to parse it out in my mind, what I think of as British slang versus kind of quirky Amara language use. I made a list though. Chips, cheesed off. I also say loo. I've known to be, ever since the first time I went to England, I have a tendency to be like, I'm off to the loo. And I say dodgy often in real life here in the US. And I learned the word snog from a book called like Angus something and Full Frontal Snogging. I don't know what it's called. Let's check, shall we? XOXO, X out of Gossip Girl, so I can look up what this book is called. The book was called Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging by one Louise Renison. And I somehow managed to get my hands on that a long time ago. That book actually had a bit of a dictionary inside of it. That's what I really remember from the book, is that there was a dictionary of British slang within that book. I'm trying to remind myself what was British slang versus American slang that's regional, because I've lived all over the US. I did find a phrase I'd never heard before that I love, which is know your onions. It's like a know what you're talking about kind of thing, and I love it. I'd really be interested to learn about the word history behind know your onions. I don't, like, if you put 6 onions in front of me, I'd be like, that's a red onion, that's a yellow one. I don't know. I actually went near a community garden while I was in London the last time with Lee of Lee Explores. Maybe there's an opportunity in the future for me to learn to know my onions in London. That almost rhymes. Know your onions in London. No, it doesn't. It just sounds like kind of close. Anyway. Jessa J Vlogs asked via Instagram, do you think you could ever do van life, and would you? I think I would rock at van life. The big problem with van life is that Seattle cat Mika would not love being in a van full time. She's very much a like run and jump and likes up high spaces, and she's an indoor cat, so I don't think that would be a great match for her. But I would love to spend some time doing like van living. I would love to do like a road trip, or maybe a week or a couple of days living in a van, like van life. Maybe if I knew someone who lived out of a van and I could come like learn to do van life with them, a little van life trip. I'm scrappy. Maybe that's a thing that could happen. That would be super fun. It sounds like an adventure itself, and it might lead to an adventure. Questions about YouTube. Katie Brown asked, what is your favorite thing about YouTube? The nonstop inspiration and community. I am so thankful to have all of these wonderful rock stars in my life from all over the world. I'm so excited all the time to hear stories about where people have been, where they're going. There's a lot of people who talk about the negative things that come with like online life and social media, and I don't feel like the great story of the wonderful things that is coming from the internet is being told well enough or is being understood well enough. Really wonderful community that's coming out of it, wonderful relationships, friendships, global interactions. And this is something I'm really passionate about, and that's something that I really love getting to use YouTube to do, to have like these moments of engagement with y'all. Stephanie asked me via Instagram, who are your YouTube heroes, people who really inspire you? I made a list. It is not comprehensive. There are so many creators who inspire me. This is gonna be like the longest part of the video. The ones that came up really quick that I wanted to make sure I highlighted: Lily Singh, who both coined the term and wrote the book Boss; Rosanna Pansino, who took her interest in baking and cooking and her interest in geekery and was able to merge those things in a really unique way. She's also from the Pacific Northwest, so shout out to Ro. I always like to shout out when local creators from the region that I have come from are out in the world doing great things. Allison Raskin and Gabby Dunn are two of my long-term YouTube heroes, not just because they're really awesome and create wonderful, funny content. Their show Just Between Us is a lovely look at relationships between women. It's a delight and totally funny. But in addition to them being just funny, comedian, actor, girl bosses, both of them really stand up for the things that are really important to them. And that's something really wonderful that I see happening through digital spaces like this. Robin Corinne came up when I was thinking about the history of people that I've been watching for a long time on YouTube. They had a show called Threadbanger that they have again now. They had way back when I first started watching YouTube. That was one of the first shows I watched really regularly. It really inspired the idea that like kind of punk rock DIY lifestyle could have a place in YouTube space. Before I was ever making YouTube videos, I actually made a number of their DIY projects, and I love that I get to still see their content evolve as time goes on and see them grow as people. Mr. Kate, I love how their community is so supportive, and they're so supportive of their community. Really came up with the idea of this community of rock stars from the idea that Mr. Kate had a community of creative weirdos. We're pretty creative weirdos over here too. Little A, a little B, and they're pretty much rock stars, so there you go. And I've really loved watching Mr. Kate grow her business and her ideas alongside the creation of YouTube videos. I think it's been really awesome to see those things grow side by side. I would be completely remiss not to bring up Amy Landino, who long ago was Amy Schmidhauer and even longer ago was the Vlog Boss. She's so passionate about what she does to help people live their best life, but she's also really passionate about being really honest and true to evolving ideas of professionalism. That's something I'm super passionate about, and it's something we're going to be tackling pretty soon in Amara Doomlau land, where we'll be talking about modern professionalism in digital times. You can't actually subscribe to that channel right now. There's just nothing on it yet. Yet. Amy's also a self-built girl boss and a total professional rock star. See, this list just keeps rolling. I wanted to bring up both Mamrie Hart and Emma Blackery. I once saw the two of them on a panel at VidCon EU, and it was one of the best panels I've ever seen about women creators and women supporting each other through the process of creating content. Mamrie specifically brought up this idea that like women pulling each other up helps raise everyone. When women support women, we continue to be able to do more together as creatives. And that's really true for anyone. People supporting people brings people up in this particular field. I really loved the interaction she had with Emma Blackery, and while I can't directly quote you anything, there is a little piece of it in my VidCon EU, the first VidCon EU video, which I'll link above. The thing I really took away from their interaction was that these are two very strong, smart women who are creating content that is of varying types, that is, you know, comedy based or is experimental. A lot of what Emma Blackery does is kind of like weird experiments and moreover music now. But both of these women really struck me as being really driven and creative in a really honest and pure way. Anytime you all want to see somebody who's busy and keeps himself busy, go check out what Mamrie Hart is doing that's not just YouTube videos, but like what she's doing as a creative in general. I find her endlessly impressive. Speaking of people who are endlessly impressive, John and Hank Green are on my list, as they should be. The net summary of John and Hank Green and the Vlogbrothers and all the things that have come out of that. Crash Course, VidCon kind of bloomed out of that. The Project for Awesome bloomed out of that. Everything I'm missing. NerdCon, Nerdfighteria bloomed out of that. All kinds of things. The thing that I think is most important to note about John and Hank in a nutshell is that they are people who continue to push the internet to be as awesome as it can be. And that is something that I think YouTube creators sort of have a responsibility to do, and creatives across the board. We have access to the ability to communicate with each other in a way that has never existed before. It is up to us to move that forward and to move that to benefit humanity as much as is possible. I really love that facet of being like part of Nerdfighter DFTBA type world. There are lots of big creators that should be celebrated for the amazing things that they've done, but honestly, most of all, it's the creators I meet that use YouTube to share things, to educate others, to grow as individuals, and to build community. Those are the people that I find most inspiring. There's all kinds of ways that those creators can do things. Some of them have channels that they have no real interest in growing them long term, or they use YouTube more as a community building tool than as an actual like place to post content. But the people who are using YouTube to create good things for the rest of the world, and the times I run into one of those videos or something that really strikes me on that level, which is often how these other creators kind of became big creators. They had a moment that really resonated with people. I've seen those moments and I love those videos too. In fact, if any of you have a creator that you know of that is maybe not huge yet, but has made or created a video that really inspires you, would you leave me a comment down below of what the video is? I don't think you can put a link in, but you can definitely be like, it's Todd's video about Todd being the greatest. It's Gina's video about Gina inspires your life. Examples. Those creator moments are the ones that really inspire me, and they help me when creation is challenging, which it sometimes is. Speaking of which, Stephanie also asked me, how do you get through creative blocks? Girl, let's talk the talk. I am not usually a person who has a lot of trouble coming up with ideas, but actually executing them, bigger challenge. I am constantly in like a friction place with my desire to do interesting things and my desire to create interesting things, which involves staying still. This is kind of my baseline YouTube challenge in Amara in Seattle and in Amara life. How do you get through creative blocks? The answer I have found is you do it anyway. I think there's this idea that when you're creative that you're gonna just feel inspired, and that's the moment that's gonna lead you to doing all the great things you're gonna do. And you're always gonna feel inspired when you are supposed to be making something. Unfortunately, creatives know that's not the case. You can't always get the luxury of feeling in the mood of creation in order to be able to be doing it. It's important that you do things anyway. And by doing things anyway, you teach yourself a pattern of work. Just like when you get up every day to go to your job, or you do something regularly to work out, even a hobby you attend regularly, or a class or an event. When you have a pattern like that, you bring yourself into a process where you're getting things done better, more effectively, and you can kind of more easily ride through the times when you're like, I just don't feel like doing it. Because I just don't feel like doing it is not a good enough reason for you not to be creating something you want to create. It's not a good enough reason. So you have to do it anyway. And that's really the answer I have through creative blocks. It's a challenge for me. I want to feel, I have such great moments of feeling like, this is a great idea. I'm super in the flow. I really want to do this. But you really have to do it even when that's not the time that's happening currently. Part of creativity is working when you're not feeling creative. It's just the truth. We ain't got time for that, y'all. Creativity is work, and that's something that can be really hard to think of, because I think most of us have thought that there's like non-creative things and there's creative things, and creative things are fun, so they must not be work. But the truth is, creativity is work. And even when you're somebody who has high energy, like Amara level 11, social high energy all the time, it doesn't mean you don't have times where you have to still get through not feeling up to creating. You just gotta do it anyway. That's the difference between you having a video up and not having a video up. That's the difference between you taking a shot at what you want and not taking that shot. It's the difference between you being the person you want to be and getting to do the great things in your life that seem impossible, that you find a way to push play on. It's how internet magic happens. Kathy Tryhard asks me, your favorite fiction / non-fiction book of your most read genres. Young adult books, middle grades books, and mystery books. That's kind of about what I tackle in fiction in general. Young adult books by far the most of them. My go-to default favorite is David Levithan's Everyday and that Everyday series, but I speak about that so often. Another one that I really love, that just like every time I think about it or I see it on the bookshelf, I'm like, oh, 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson. This was the first of Maureen's books I ever read. I got it from a library. I liked it so much, I by hand took notations afterwards. It's one of the first YA books I ever like deconstructed that way. I later bought my own copy to highlight and take notes in. It's kind of all those book types I like in general. So there's a mystery element to it. There's clues. Do like me clues. I used to be part of a mystery event every single year in an area called Langley, George Washington. I'll link you to the mystery video up there. I just love the idea of there being clues and a mystery. Also, it takes place a good deal in Paris, which I love. So there's so many things that about that particular book that I found really gripping. Also, the language is just so accessible and the feeling sets felt real. I remember elements of that book in a way I often lose details for YA books over time. Like I remember some yellow paint in one of the cafes because I could just envision it so well. And Maureen has a really special ability to world build in a way that is just so immersive. I love that about the work that she does, and it's something that I admire about her, and I hope to someday get a chance to talk with her about. If you like hearing about authors, let me just mid-roll put a little subscribe bumper down here. I'm going to be talking to one soon. Spoilers. Excited to share that footage with you. Nonfiction book of your most read genre. Right now, the most nonfiction books that I'm reading have to do with other projects I'm doing. So things like cookbooks and things like YouTube related content and business books. I really love a book called Let My People Go Surfing by entrepreneur and founder of Patagonia, Yvon Chouinard. That's a book about his very unique take on management and making a business that supports its employees to make their lives the best lives they can be, so that they will be, well, honestly, so they'll be the best employees they can be, but also so they'll be people who have a good relationship with the company. I went to business school for management, but as I am an Amara, I was always kind of interested in innovative management or global management and things that had to do with those ideas. Via Instagram, Danielle, aka Paragetta, asked me, what is your favorite book that's been turned into a movie? I thought about this a lot because there are a lot of them that are easy pickings. I loved The Fault in Our Stars movie, made me cry. Loved the book, also made me cry. Harry Potter is really like an easy hop, but I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. There's two that really stand out to me. The first is Louisa May Alcott's Little Women, which was a book that I read as a child because it was a book my mother loved, and then later became a movie that was in my life every holiday season. I grew up in a part of the US where that time period was like really beloved. Wisconsin felt very correct. It's something about a Wisconsin winter really seemed to match the Little Women story in terms of heritage and the kind of historical stuff that was around. It's still a very good story. If you want a book that's older that will make you shed a couple tears, there's some of that in Little Women, and it's a really important story also when it comes to like the evolution of women as writers. The other one that is a totally different side of things was A Series of Unfortunate Events. So I first saw the movie, the original movie with Jim Carrey. I love that movie, and a lot of people don't like it, but I feel like they do a very good job of summarizing some of the books from that series and turning it into something that's digestible. It's also a little bit like dark humory. Before that was as common. Since then, there have been a number of the darker YA books that have gotten kind of pulled into movie spaces that I've seen have that kind of flavor, but I really loved The Series of Unfortunate Events movie so much that I picked up the first book, read it real fast, picked up the second book, and then I was just going through them. Like Urti's Elevator, check. I was in it for a little while. I was deep in the schnick of it. I've also been enjoying the new series that's been coming out on Netflix. I love a Violet Baudelaire moment. I love a giant mystery. I love anytime there's one of those places where they've got that bell ladder going on, you know what I'm saying? The ladder that's on wheels that like goes this way, and you kind of have a bookish The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music moment where you're just like, woo! Yeah, having one of those ladders in my life, in fact, we're gonna just add it to the bucket list right now. Getting to be on a really tall ladder in one of those massive libraries that swings, that footage we will find a way to have, because that is a thing I have always wanted to do. It's hopefully something I'm gonna build for myself someday. Heyo, love to build a library. Carnegie's did great things with building libraries. There's also a whole lot of movies that I love that come from books I didn't read or didn't really care to read, or books that are from movies that I didn't really love the movie. So if there's one of those, would you guys leave me a comment below with a book you loved that you didn't like the movie, or a movie you loved that you didn't like the book? I'd like to know those too. My multi-platform supportive friend Paragetta also asked, would you rather give up books or YouTube? Now I said nice things about you and then you ask me evil questions, Danielle. Neither. I read every single day and I work with YouTube every single day. So you're basically saying, hey Amara, which part of your life do you not want anymore? I want both of those things in my life. I've cut a lot of things out of my life, but I want both of those things in my life. However, that's not the point of a question like this. The point is for me to give you an arduous answer. How about this? Where's the line? Can I listen to audiobooks and make YouTube videos? What about podcasts? Where are we at? What is up? Who am I? I'd be really super sad to lose either. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2 shelves, 8, 9. There are 9 books, like within a foot of me right now. I love books, but when it comes to, like, I've had to really like math it down to a pro-con list. The truth is I probably can absorb more information quicker through YouTube in the current form of things. That would be modern information. And theoretically, I could have those books read to me via YouTube. So I'd have to say if I have to pick right now, it's YouTube, which is weird for me to think because I've had books in my life longer, but let's hope I never have to choose. Brutal question, Danielle. Next set of questions is about VidCon. Carly of Carly Smashes Ivory asked me, what is one of your favorite interactions you've had at VidCon? US, UK, AU, Europe. Why are the hard questions happening in the middle of this? This is literally like a picking children moment. Meeting people at conventions or meeting new people when they are excited about what they're passionate about is something I am really passionate about. I had to think about this one a whole lot, but one of my favorite types of interactions is where I can introduce people who have similar interests, are from similar places, or who I think would get along well. I like that moment. The moment where I can go, like Carly, for example, is a musician, so I could find like Carly and I could find like another musician and be like, hey, friendship. Maybe you guys can work together. Maybe there's something to build there. I think that's a really cool, special, awesome part of YouTube. And the surprising and fun part of that is when you are a person who does that in life, later you find out your friends that you didn't know were friends are friends already, and then they're like, oh, you know Amara too? Or you should go meet Amara. And it's been really great and wonderful, and I highly recommend whenever you meet people that you can connect, that you do. Honestly, that's the world I want to live in, is one where people feel like they should continue to build community. I'm willing to bet Carly wants a single interaction moment, so I feel like I should definitely bring up one of my most recent interactions that I thought was really great at VidCon London. I met a couple who met each other through their comments section and on a YouTube video, and I will link that video up here and you can see them, and maybe there's some kissing. Ooh, that was really sweet. YouTube, also a dating app. Who knew? The last question I have on this very, very long Amara Talks to a Camera Directly series of questions from Danny on Instagram. How many VidCons have you been to? Ooh. Okay, the first VidCon EU, both of the VidCons in Australia, the first ever VidCon in London, 2 VidConUSs. Wait. 2 VidConUSs so far. I thought it would be fun to end this 500 episode with a little bit of an announcement. I have attained my ticket to go to the 10th ever VidConUS, which is coming up in July, and I will be there. It will be my personal 7th VidCon in about 2 and some change years, which is wild. I just wanted to let you guys know that I am going to be going to VidConUS this year. It is official. I have a ticket. This is happening. I'm excited to keep meeting YouTube creators and to be meeting people who love YouTube and to continue to build the wonderful community that the over 500 Rockstars, awesome community of people that have brought so much internet magic and wonder to my life and to continue to bring internet magic and wonder to each other's lives. I mean, it's the greatest. You guys are the best and I adore you. Keep being the awesome Rockstars that you are. Thank you so much for the internet magic you bring into my life. Thanks for being part of the first AMA. I'm Amara of Amara in Seattle. Also, Amara Doomlow, that's my actual name. Adventure is a lifestyle, whether that is big adventures at big events or whether that is small moments that are super cool and awesome. I believe that adventure can be part of your life anywhere you are, and I hope you will join me along on this journey. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you'd like to be part of the next adventure. Like up this video if you like the idea of having 500 amazing people in your life that make your days awesome, like praise emoji, happy, hands up, awesome all the time. Now, because you've been sticking around, here is some bonus content, some little previews of some things that are coming in the future. It's about to get even wilder on Amara in Seattle. I mean that, Rockstars. It's about to get wild. We're talking axe throwing. We're talking U-Haul fame. We're talking interviews. Adventure as a lifestyle. More of it coming soon here on Amara in Seattle. Let's use the internet to make things even more awesome. Since you finished off this video, how do you feel about like small cute penguins? You could check that out. Right up here. Super cute.